Hello, it's 4 o'clock and you're watching Buzz News. I'm Aaron Sugg. Coming up, a major coastal defence has been completed in Poole. A Bournemouth man has helped recover over £200,000 in valuables. And Victoria Road will be revamped by Dorset Council in an aim to restore the area. A new coastal defence seawall has been built in Poole. Located in Hamworthy Park, the new project should help prevent flooding. Tom Brash has more.
The 200-metre coastal protection barrier was completed in Poole yesterday, which the BCP Council say will protect the seafront from erosion for the next 20 years. It is part of a larger plan to improve the coastline in the BCP area. In 2024, Bournemouth and Poole received just under £20 million through the National Levelling Up Fund to support works on the Dorset seafront. £318,000 came from the fund, with a further £233,000 coming from the Community Infrastructure Levy. The work also involved building new steps to the shoreline, repairs to the two jetties, and the construction of buttresses to support the wall. The project should improve the access to Hamworthy Park for residents and visitors and further develop the thriving community green space. Tom Brash, Buzz News.
Community Hero of the Year 2024 award winner Darren Wiles has now helped almost 300 people in the BCP area. We met him on a search to see how he earned his mural on Southbourne Beach. Ollie Basham reports.
52-year-old Darren Wiles, who works at a software company, has become a local hero in the Bournemouth area. He takes his metal detector on searches to areas where people have lost their possessions. He picked up the hobby in 2009 to go alongside his passion for history. He now focuses his efforts to helping people, running the operation from his house, and it has since turned into a full-time operation.
So I started doing the history side of it. So I was going out on farms in North Dorset, finding Roman coins. That was always fun, and hammered coins from medieval times. They were really good to get. I was always liked the coins, and then I started doing a bit more of the recovery side of it. I did a couple early on. I thought, I quite like the feeling of that. Then I set up a website thinking nothing really would come of it. And then I set up the Bournemouth Detecting Club in 2011. And again, just on the whim that someone might be interested, and a few members joined to start with, and then slowly more trickles came in. I started getting a few requests coming in. And from then on, it's just kind of snowballed into really what is now a public service as opposed to just a hobby that I do. Because I don't go out detecting as a hobby anymore. I only go out now when I search, and that is almost a full-time job. I'm just a guy who goes out helping people where I can. You know, I've got the equipment to do it. Why not do it? You know, it's nice to be able to help people. There's not a lot of that around really when you think about what's going on at the moment. No. So I do what I can to help, and yeah, I get. You know, last night I was on the beach and I found the guys ringing on sandbanks at like 10 to 12, 10 to 1 this morning, and I shouted.
I then later joined Darren in the evening on one of his searches.
It's in places like this where Darren helps people be reunited with their lost items, from mobile phones to jewellery. He has recovered £200,000 worth of lost items and makes no profit, returning them all to the people who have lost them.
People reach out to Darren via social media, and he then uploads his findings to his Facebook page, posting photos and videos of where he found the items and the reactions of the people he has helped.
I've been detecting since 2009 in Toad when I first started doing it, but that was more the history side of it, and then I started doing the odd recovery, thought nothing of it, and then now I kind of only do the recovery side of it because the reaction you get from people is just incredible. I love to help people, I love to see people's reactions, and what I get from it is when they call me and they contact me, I get that kind of initial devastation and how sad they are. They've lost a family heirloom potentially, maybe 70 years old. And I also see the elation when I send them a message or phone them. Those phone calls can be quite teary sometimes as well.
Ollie Basham, Buzz News.
A high street in Ferndown is in store for a makeover. Victoria Road will be revamped by Dorset Council in an aim to restore the area. Dying trees will be removed and planters and benches that are beyond repair replaced. Kat Lindsay reports.
This project was the work of Councillor Kathy Lugg and Councillor Mike Parks. Initial conversations were about wanting a litter-free Dorset, but after some discussions with local residents, it was indicated that they liked the idea of new benches and planters.
The council have said this is their chance to start pursuing this project. The work is due to begin on Monday with the removal of dying trees and deteriorating planters.
Councillor Terry Cordery, Mayor of Ferndown Town Council, has said this is a wonderful opportunity for Victoria Road to be refreshed and will bring benefits to the people of Ferndown for many years to come. Kat Lindsay, Buzz News.
At the Cricketers in Bournemouth, Thursday nights mean one thing: music. For the past 2 years, the historic pub has hosted an open mic night under the watchful eye of landlord Tony Bryant. For many of the artists, he is their mentor and inspiration. Joel Pringle, a musician who started attending the open mic night after he finished university, said, "You can't really be a musician around here without knowing Tony. He's got wisdom about him that makes you want to listen and grow." 2 years ago, attendance was poor and often led to Tony performing solo. However, with the influx of young performers such as Joel, the Cricketers saw its busiest night yet yesterday. Residents of a local care home are using their needles and threads to make a difference by knitting baby hats and blankets to donate to the NHS maternity ward. Libby Evans reports.
I'm visiting Zetland Court, where they are stitching blankets for newborns. The care home reached out to Poole Hospital and were told that handmade items would bring comfort to newborns and families.
We've spoken to a couple of the residents who are involved in the activity, some of them picking up new skills and others rehashing their knitting abilities that they lost over the years.
Edna is enjoying knitting and was keen to show us what she had made. She told us it had been keeping her busy all day and is even continuing after dinner.
I'm stitching blankets. They give us all these to stitch to make a blanket.
Tatiana Lansing organises the activities and said many ladies enjoy knitting and were eager to get involved.
Everybody is very enthusiastic for new things and always happy to support for just any new what we are going to do. And I cannot even tell what we are going to do tomorrow, because while we are doing today, some ideas can be on the way.
Resident June has begun experimenting with the circular knitting machines to speed up her progress. She said, "We had fun figuring how the machines work, and we are already planning big projects for the future." This is Libby Evans, Buzz News.
The Home Office is considering changing the classification of ketamine, a Class B substance, to a Class A. The deliberation comes after record numbers of people reportedly used the drug in the year up to March 2023. Ketamine is known to cause potential damage to both the bladder and kidneys and is one of the drugs most commonly detected in spiking incidents. The substance can be used by doctors as an anaesthetic in order to induce loss of consciousness and is considered a Schedule 3 non-narcotic substance.
Class B, which is what ketamine is at the moment, is 14 years in prison for supply. If you go to Class A, it's life. That's a massive difference. So to recognise the seriousness of what we're dealing with, to recognise the profile this drug has now got, I do think it should go to Class A.
Park Manor, a care home in Branksome that used to be a convent, hosted an open day today. The care home reopened in December after being temporarily closed. Kat Lindsay reports.
St Mary's Convent was originally constructed in 1884, but in the early 1980s, the building was converted into a care home, which is now known as Park Manor. The open day was on Wednesday from 12 till 4 p.m. They gave tour of the grounds, facilities and rooms. Kim Harding says they are looking to reach out to the wider community and give people a chance to experience Park Manor.
The history behind the home is well known within the local community, and it's quite interesting that we have a number of residents that remember the home as it was when it was a convent, and we've tried to retain an element of sort of memories for our local residents by naming a number of our sort of communal areas after sort of areas within Poole and of the convent, hence our library being called St Mary's Library.
Whilst they want to preserve the history, they have also added some modern facilities, such as a cinema in what used to be the Nuns' Chapel. If you couldn't make it on Wednesday, even though the open day is over, you can still book tours online. Kat Lindsay, Buzz News.
And now for some stories of empowerment within our community. Here's Tilly and Fergus.
Bournemouth is taking a stand for women's rights this Saturday with a UK Women's March happening in towns and cities all across the country.
And one woman going the extra mile for Bournemouth. Community is lead march organiser and beauty specialist Sophie Withers. Keris Self reports.
Whilst meeting new women every day in her job, Sophie realised how many of her clients had sadly been victims of sexual abuse. This led to her being a passionate advocate and voice for women's rights, not only in Bournemouth, but for the whole of UK, becoming the lead organiser of the Bournemouth Women's March and a fundraiser for important women's charities.
Sophie Withers, based in St Dold Salon behind me, has started her own raffle to support both the Stars and ACT charity.
Sophie is raising money for these two important local charities that help support individuals and families of those impacted by sexual abuse. Money fundraised by the march will also be going to both these charities. I spoke to Sophie to understand the importance of fundraising for both the Stars and ACT Fast charities and to find out more about the march on Saturday.
Me and my friend called Sarah decided to arrange a women's march, which is on the 18th of Jan. We had a vote to see what charity the women involved would want us to support. So Stars and ACT came out on top. They're both local charities, and obviously a lot of women have used them and had to use them. ACT is a really important charity that supports families that have been affected by child abuse. So that would be like non-abusive parents that have had a child potentially sexually abused, or things like indecent images. So they would use that money for counselling and therapy for that for those families. And the same goes with Stars. It's a counselling service, trauma service.
I asked Sophie the inspiration behind her organising the march and her fundraising.
I'm in this industry and I like women every day, and I think women need to speak out and stand together. I've seen how powerful women can be when we all come together, and that's really something that's important to me, regardless of sexuality, race, disability. You know, we're a big inclusive group, we're intersectional feminists, and we need to stand up and fight for what's happening.
But what can Bournemouth do to improve the safety of women? Sophie emphasised how men need to get on board with the movement and how education should be better surrounding sexual violence in schools.
I think there's a massive lack in education for men. I think without men on board with our vision, things will never ever change. I think there needs to be more education in schools about how abuse could potentially start and what to do, and obviously more funding to charities like the ones we have supported that are absolutely stretched at the moment.
So why now a woman in Bournemouth taking a stand?
I can see from getting a huge number of women together, we've got over 20,000 women in our group now all over the UK, that women are angry about what's going on. Obviously with what's going on in the US, the amount of women that are abused year upon year, domestic abuse has been kind of declared a national emergency, and I really do feel like now is the time that women are wanting to step up, and obviously part of that is supporting these charities that are pivotal in women's recovery after sexual abuse.
I asked Sophie why so many women are protesting and why they feel unheard.
I think many women aren't believed. I mean, the rate of prosecutions, the ratio between prosecutions and kind of, you know, women going to the police and reporting domestic abuse there's a huge gap in that. We're kind of seen as, you know, exaggerating or, you know, moaning about the issue when, you know, that's completely unfair.
There was 211 sexual offences in the town centre of Bournemouth alone in 2018, which increased to a staggering 337 in 2022. Despite the increase in attacks, prosecutions for rape and serious sexual offences has decreased to only 4.9% in 2022 to 2023. Sophie is marching alongside many others this Saturday. At the end, she is drawing her charity raffle, with all proceeds going towards STARS and Act Fast charities. Kara Self, Buzz News.
A controversial proposal for an incinerator at Canford Magna has sparked strong opposition from the public.
Environmental activists are regularly protesting outside BCP Council meetings. Utku Hussain reports.
Local residents alongside Extinction Rebellion groups from Wimborne, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole have voiced their concerns. Protesters recently gathered outside Bournemouth Civic Centre to demonstrate against the growing number of waste incinerators in the area. Despite over 230 objections from residents, council officers have recommended it to be approved. The protesters argue that the incinerator will harm air quality, public health and the environment.
We're here today because we're very worried about the pollution that will be caused by Canford Incinerator because of all the pub in the plume going over Wimborne. We're very worried about the fact that it will release a lot of fossil fuels because they'll be burning a lot of plastic. Also, you know, we're all dedicated to recycling. Recycling is the way forward, and instead of recycling our rubbish, they're going to be burning it. Also, we should all be thinking about a circular economy. All of us need to start consuming less. And what we do consume, we need to be a bit more thoughtful about it. We need to share things, pass things round, repurpose them. We shouldn't be just burning stuff. It's really a worst case scenario. There are a lot of people with children in Wimborne who are very concerned about the effect it's going to have on their children's health.
Dorset is on track to become a focal point for waste incineration, with 2 other major projects currently under consideration in West Parley and Portland. Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council has granted planning permission for the West Parley incinerator. Despite widespread local opposition and growing controversy, Eco-Sustainable Solutions is now reapplying for permission to increase the facility's capacity. Meanwhile, the government has improved plans for the Portland incinerator. However, this decision is now under review by the High Court. As for the Canford incinerator on Magna Road, BCP Council have yet to make a decision.
We hope that the councillors will take the climate, the local environment and local health seriously and not approve this planning application. They are the dirtiest form of producing power in the country now we've got rid of coal. About half of this waste being burnt is plastics, and that produces 175 times more pollution in terms of greenhouse gases than putting it into landfill, which again we shouldn't be doing.
Buzz News reached out to MVV, the company behind the Canford incinerator, for a comment, but has not yet received a response.
We've been having these monthly demonstrations just to make it really clear that the incinerator is not needed and not wanted in the area. I think this might be our 5th month now of doing these. So we want that consistency to make sure that the message is very much heard.
From the outcome of this decision, it's clear that change, whether in policy or community action, is essential in moving forward. Dorset residents are now waiting to find out whether the voices will be heard. As the council prepares to make its final decision, the question remains, will community concerns and environmental issues take priority, or will the incinerator move forward despite the outcry? Utku Hussain, Buzz News.
Women in Bournemouth are making waves and breaking stereotypes as they take to the water.
A sport traditionally dominated by men, this all-women group is proving that surfing is for everyone. Here's Tilly Brown with more.
Surfing is not just a sport, it's a source of strength, confidence and community. Sisters of Stoke, a Bournemouth-based female-focused surfing club, is inspiring women to take to the waves and discover their strength in the water. Founded to foster connection and confidence, the club provided a welcoming environment for surfers of all skill levels.
For me, the most rewarding thing to watch is to see friendships bloom, to see regulars coming, to see people smiling regardless of how good they are at the sport. I had a lesson the other day where this woman really wasn't getting it, but she left with such a big smile on her face because she just had so much fun. And that's kind of what we're all about. Like, you know, you can be so bad at a sport but still just want to keep doing it and just have so much fun at the same time.
The club offers lessons, social events and a community that fosters empowerment and inclusivity. The owners express how it's more than a surfing club, it's a movement to inspire women to embrace new challenges.
Empowerment to me is just like, just supporting women or anyone really, just in doing something that they might not have done before, like helping people feel confident in stepping out of their comfort zone, regardless of your gender or age, and just like, yeah, seeing the happiness on their faces when they just give it a go. Surfing itself is factually known to really be beneficial for your mental health. When you're in the water, there's quite literally nothing else you could think about other than the next wave. It's just your board and the sea, and it's very kind of gives you a purpose, regardless of your age. You just give it a go. It's never too late to step out your comfort zone. It's never too late to try something new. Even if you're bad at it, you still have a smile on your face.
From building confidence in the water to fostering a supportive community, Sisters of Stoke is all about creating a space where women can thrive. The name itself reflects that mission perfectly.
Do you know what? I actually don't remember. I think we just were bouncing a few things and we actually kept that one. It was going to be temporary, and then we just didn't. It kind of just stuck, and we really liked it because Stoke obviously means happy. A lot of people mistake it for Stoke-on-Trent, but that's not the case. But Stoke in surf slang is happy, and you know, we're sisters or whatever. So it just made so much sense to our community and what we want to bring.
Two Bournemouth individuals have broken discrimination barriers, paving a way for a more inclusive future. Sam North, aged 18, is the founder of 66 Media, which he has self-funded and hopes to make a future out of it.
Lois Miller, aged 19, has debuted her own book after struggling with mental health and found retreat in fantasy novels. Ruby Dunaway reports.
In 2025, the reputation of Gen Z seems worse than ever. Yet we found two young people in Bournemouth who are crushing that stereotype. Sam North is a business owner running his very own fully fledged media company at just the age of 18.
So I started the business about 4 or 5 months ago. I did 66 Media. I originally done videography and photography for around 2 years, and up until then I decided to just fund my own business and go from there. So I was originally employed, as a bicycle mechanic and unfortunately I got let go from my job with that, and I was kind of at a lost point. I didn't really know what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go forward. So I thought to myself, what's one thing that I've always been quite good at and one thing that I could make a career out of? So I decided to go full-time and fund my own media business. My family were a bit skeptical of it at first because I was going through the process of going from job to job. So they thought it was one of those things that I would do it for 6 months and I would move on to another thing. But over the past coming months and everything, my family have been really supportive. They have, and they've encouraged me to carry on doing what I'm doing. I face a lot down to discrimination of my age because I'm quite young. A lot of people don't trust young people, it's unfortunate. And a lot of roadblocks it's new to me. I've never done anything like it before, and I haven't really had a lot of help or advice from anyone. So I've kind of been on my own most of the way, and I've had to learn everything and research everything. I do feel empowered because a lot of people my age obviously don't own their own business and they're obviously working for someone. And one thing being owning your own business at such a young age, you have this responsibility and you somewhat feel proud of yourself because obviously not a lot of people are doing it.
Sam looks to pave the way for more young business owners and prove that you can start your own company at any age. Another incredible young person from Bournemouth, Lois Miller, is in the process of publishing her first fantasy novel, Don't Fear the Fire, at just the age of 19.
Well, I was always really into reading as a kid. I read the Harry Potters by the age of 9.
just loved reading, and I was always fascinated by fantasy. It was really interesting to me to create your own world, and it was a real good way for me to escape what was the world at the time. I think when I was 16, I just had an idea and I just went, I'm going to do it. And I just that's what I focused on constantly. Evenings, mornings, any time that I had spare moment in the day, I would be writing. I was really struggled with depression and anxiety, and the world at the time wasn't the most exhilarating place with the COVID lockdowns, and there was a lot of negative news, and I needed a way to escape the thoughts that were in my own brain and the reality that was at the time. So I just created a different world that I could just go to without any complications, and I could make it my own. When I started the querying process, I was very anxious to put my age, because most agents would be like, she's 19, she doesn't know what she's doing. But there's a really positive side of being so young. It gives you that uniqueness. It's got a date, 25th of March 2025. It's available to pre-order now on Amazon and Waterstones, and it's just crazy how it's suddenly come around so quickly. It's absolutely surreal, because I started, like I said, at 16 with no intention of publishing, and it's been the help from others that's really given me the confidence at such a young age to put myself out there. It is crazy to see your face on the front of not the front, but on the cover of an article or something. It's quite oh my goodness, and people at work come up to me and be like, I've seen your article, this is amazing. It is so cool, but scary at the same time.
Sam and Lois are two great examples that being young doesn't mean that you can't begin your life's career. Ruby Dunaway reports.
And those are our stories of empowerment. Now back to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Tilly. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll have more at 10:15 Tuesday morning. In the meantime, you can catch up on stories at buzz.bournemouth.ac.uk. Bye for now.
You